I'm so nervous. You see, today is my first day of school ever. That's right. I'm Heather. I'm 15 years old, and I've never stepped foot inside of a school before. This is because my dad's a scientist and my mom's a writer, so they really cared about my education and worried that the elementary and middle schools in our town wouldn't be good enough. So my mom homeschooled me. Honestly, it was great. I really enjoyed learning about all kinds of different topics, especially literature. But then when I watched TV shows about high schools like The Kissing Booth or High School Musical, I felt a pang in my chest. I was missing out on so many things like having friends and talking to boys. I desperately wanted what those girls on TV had. So I begged my mom to let me go to high school. It took a lot of persuading and fake tears, but she agreed eventually. I was so excited! Finally, I'd get to experience school firsthand instead of living it vicariously through my favorite TV characters. Oh my god, what should I wear? What would I talk about? How would I make friends? This was actually happening! I could barely sleep the night before, and instead, I took the whole night to prepare myself. This was an important milestone in my life. So here I am, walking down the street to the bus station. Whoa, I've never seen so many people my age before. This is like a dream come true. I spotted an empty seat next to this girl, so I walked over with a smile. Excuse me, can I sit here? The girl looked me up and down, rolled her eyes, then put her bag on that seat. Sorry, it's already taken. Okay, that's fine. I'll sit alone in the back then. No problem. The girl must have gotten up on the wrong side of the bed or something. But, well, turned out it wasn't just the girl on the bus who'd gotten out of bed the wrong way. Because as soon as Mrs. Hickson, my English Lit teacher, introduced me to everybody in class, I could see that everyone was giving me weird looks too. Were they making fun of me? But why? Did I have jam on my face? Mrs. Hickson showed me to my seat, and the class began.
By now, you've all had plenty of time to finish reading The Great Gatsby.
Aw, I adore that novel.
Throughout the novel, Fitzgerald continuously references a green light that Gatsby keeps on reaching for. Can anyone tell me what the green light symbolizes?
I looked around, expecting to see everybody raise their hand. But to my shock, they were all staring down at their desks to avoid eye contact with Mrs. Hickson. Huh? But why? This was so easy. Suddenly, Mrs. Hickson said,
No one, huh? Well, how about you, Kelly?
Everybody turned and looked at a girl who was adjusting her fake eyelashes in her compact mirror. Kelly continued fiddling with her eyelashes as she replied, doesn't a traffic light have a green light? So, duh, it means that he can cross the street. What? I burst out laughing, but then everyone turned to look at me. Oh, snap. Why was I the only one laughing? I mean, her answer was totally hilarious. Mrs. Hickson walked towards me. Oh no, was I in trouble?
Heather appears to be the only one here who understands why Kelly's answer was ridiculous. Can you explain this to your classmates?
The color green in itself illustrates the idea of greed and money, being a symbol of Gatsby's desire for Daisy. Gatsby already has everything anyone could dream for, but still, he is chasing after this light, or, in other words, chasing after the love of his life, Daisy. Mrs. Hickson gave me a satisfied smile, patted me on the shoulder, and then she said,
That's correct. Very good, Heather.
Suddenly, someone coughed out the word, Nerd! Everybody started to laugh. Seriously? How could they laugh at this, but not Kelly's foolish answer?
Quiet!
Mrs. Hickson then turned to Kelly and said,
Perhaps if you used your eyes to actually read a book, instead of only using them to wear fake eyelashes, then Heather here wouldn't need to help you.
Kelly glanced over at me, so I smiled at her. But, huh? Why was she giving me a dagger look? Did I do something wrong? After class was over, I was sticking cute pictures in my locker when Kelly and her two friends, Samantha and Brittany, appeared next to me. Heather, right? Yeah, that's right. Oh my God, your sweater is... Oh, do you like it? My mom... So ugly. Why are you even wearing one? It's not even cold. Is your mirror busted or something? Why else would you choose to wear such an awful outfit? Then the three of them started to laugh. What do you mean? I dress just like Jess in New Girl. She looks amazing, doesn't she? This made them laugh even louder. While I was still feeling confused about what just happened, a girl named Taylor walked over. Hi, I overheard what you were talking about. Actually, New Girl ended a few years back, so her style is kinda outdated. Try watching Emily in Paris. That's the trend nowadays. Oh God, I didn't think of that. No wonder the girl on the bus. Oh wait, no wonder everyone at school was giving me awkward looks. They must be thinking I came from the past or something. And you should be careful. Kelly and her gang like to tease others, and I think you're their new target. Oh, so Kelly's stare earlier in class wasn't just a regular stare. But so what? Thanks, but I'm not afraid of them. I know this type of mean girl. They're all bark and no bite. So that night, I binge-watched Emily in Paris. It's très chic. I studied the fashion style and mixed up some outfits. I looked at myself in the mirror and, oh my, I really did look different. The next day at school, no one was giving me funny looks. How about that? Taylor's advice was really helpful. By the end of the first week, I'd established myself as most of the teacher's favorite student. It sounded great, right? But trust me, it wasn't. Every time a teacher praised me, Kelly and her friends gave me dirty looks. Then I found a note stuck to my locker that said, "You weirdo." Right at that moment, Kelly and her friends walked past me giggling. In anger, I ripped off the note and told them, "When you're leaving mean comments at my locker, at least write them correctly. Weirdo is missing an R." They immediately stopped laughing and rushed off so that nobody knew it was them. Man, they were so annoying. High school wasn't turning out how I expected it to be. I thought I would be one of the cool kids, not the one being teased. Ugh. Then word got out that I used to be homeschooled, so Kelly began making jokes like, "Did your parents make you stay at home 'cause you're a freak?" Well, at least thanks to homeschooling, I don't come up with dumb answers in lit class. I snapped back. She stopped laughing and gave me this dumbfounded look. After that, they still carried on with their immature jokes at every given opportunity, but I tried my best to ignore them. But one day, they took it too far. I came to class and saw a big character drawing on the blackboard. It was me! Oh my God, Heather, your portrait looks amazing! And the whole class burst out laughing. Ugh! How dare she! You messed with the wrong girl this time, Kelly! That afternoon, I went home and was persistent to find a way to get payback on the mean girls. Bingo! I took out my laptop and began frantically working. After just one night, I managed to hack all their social media accounts, including their iCloud, and found a lot of good stuff. So the next time they mess with me, I'll be prepared. And it didn't take long until Kelly's friends stopped me in the hallway again. Ugh, could your skirt be any longer? Yeah, your grandma called. She wants her clothes back. Suddenly, everyone gathered around us to see what was going on. Good timing. Now we had an audience. Let's give the mean girls a taste of their own medicine. Beautiful hair, Samantha. Tell me, how often do you have to dye it so that nobody knows you're actually a redhead? What did you say? Oh, and Brittany, nice nose job. What? Everybody shockingly turned to look at Samantha's beautiful blonde hair and Brittany's nose. How? Brittany stuttered out before she grabbed Samantha's arm and they fled the scene. Yep, I've learned all about their embarrassing past through the pictures I've hacked last night. After that, Samantha and Brittany didn't dare to bother me, but the three of them were still teasing other people. Then I couldn't hold my frustration anymore when I saw them making fun of Taylor. Hey, Leave her alone! Kelly turned around smirking. Didn't your parents teach you that it's rude to interrupt people when they're talking? Or do they have weird opinions on that, too? Oh, so that's how she wants to do it. Fine by me. Bring it on. Well, talking of parents, how are your parents doing, Kelly? Oh, wait, aren't they getting divorced? Kelly's grin immediately disappeared and was replaced with a look of complete and utter dread. Then she just ran away without saying anything, leaving her friends shocked as well. That's right. I saw a really long private post about her parents getting divorced on Facebook. That must be her way to express her thoughts. But her bad. It kinda backfired. After the mean girls left, Taylor thanked me, and some of the other students gathered around me and praised me for standing up against Kelly and her clique. From then on, the mean girls avoided me like the plague. And just like that, I went from the nerdy homeschooled girl to the cool, popular girl who had the guts to stand up against the mean girls. It felt incredible. Then one day, I went to the bathroom during a class, and I heard someone in the stall crying. She was talking on the phone. Please, Mom, don't get divorced. Can't you and Dad try to make it work? For me? Oh, man. Could it be Kelly? As I was washing my hands, the stall door opened, and just as I thought, a red-eyed Kelly walked out. As soon as she saw me, she wiped away her tears and gave me a dirty glare. At that moment, I didn't feel good. I felt the complete opposite. I never realized that it was so hard for her. Making her feel bad didn't make me feel good. It made me feel bad, too. Kelly, I'm sorry about your parents. But she just snorted, then went to leave. I grabbed her arm. Please, Kelly, I didn't mean to hurt you. Kelly looked me in the eyes and said, But you did! I know. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking straight. I kept apologizing to her, and after a while she eventually said, Well, I suppose I was kinda mean to you too. We ended up talking, and she told me that she teased people to make her feel better about her family situation, which she was struggling to deal with. So I opened up to her about how nervous I was about starting school. We actually had a great talk, and the air was cleared between us. So, you see, from that moment on, things between me and the mean girls were great. Oh, wait, they aren't the mean girls anymore, just simply Kelly, Samantha, and Brittany. They learned that their actions towards me and other students weren't cool, and they finally understood how it felt like being laughed at, so they don't do it to anyone else anymore. So, in the end, high school turned out to be pretty amazing, just like I imagined it to be, but even better!
Here's the rest. Thank you so much. No problem. Congrats to you both. You're probably thinking, why is that girl so happy about giving me money? Well, it's my consulting fee for helping to win over her crush. Yep, it all started about a month ago when, thanks to my amazing advice, my BFF Haley won over this hot boy, Luke. And the best part is, it only took one picture. Well, I know that boys like Luke are so fed up with dating the popular, hard-to-please girls. So when my cute, sweet-natured friend handed him a sketch she drew of him, then shyly confessed her feelings for him, as expected, Luke fell head over heels for her. How did I come up with such a cool plan, you ask? Well, I basically have the superpower to read boys' minds. That, and I also know the real personality of each type of boy. Why? It's because I've lived with my 3 wonderful brothers for the past 15 years, and every day I had to put up with their bad habits. Ugh. Such as my eldest brother, Axel, the jock. Outside, he was always shiny and well-groomed, but at home, he never tidied his room and once went a full week without bathing. Ew! Then there's my second oldest brother, Stefan, the prodigy who didn't say much. Unless he's at home. Then he won't quit bragging about everything in the world. I swear, I've never seen him be quiet for more than a minute. Then lastly is my youngest brother, Gavin, the friendly one. Haley thinks he's so kind and gentlemanly, but she doesn't see him at home when he's always teasing me and stealing my food. God, just talking about it makes my blood boil. So tell me, ain't I qualified to open a relationship counseling service with such broad knowledge of guys yet? And actually, it was Haley's idea. She'll go find clients, and I will give advice to help them win their crush's heart. And up till now, our consulting success rate is 100%. So it's not surprising that our name quickly spread throughout the school. One day, I was eating lunch when Haley ran up to me and excitedly said, "We have a big client." "Who is it?" Turns out it was Claire, a popular mean girl at school. I immediately shook my head. "I'm not going to do it. You know I don't like Claire at all."
Come on, she's paying double than usual.
"Nope, I don't want to help her."
But Madeline, please, I already took her money.
What? Was she being serious? Then, meeting my glare, Haley hurriedly continued.
You see, Claire is already super popular. So, with your brilliant mind full of tips and tricks, she'll get the guy, and you'll get the validation.
I suppose this would be good for the consultancy. Besides, Haley had a point. Regardless of the type of boy, I always knew what was needed to attract him. Okay, so who's her target?
Ryan.
What? Ryan, as in the nerd? Claire likes him? In response, Haley just smiled, nodded, and then bit into her lunch. Well, I didn't expect that. But whatever, that was Claire's business. Even if the target was a nerdy boy known for hating girls and not dating, it couldn't intimidate this Madeline. So, I embarked on the tactic mission for Claire. Now, let's see. A nerd would definitely fall for a girl with the same interests as him, right? So, the very next day, as planned, Claire was waiting for Ryan in front of the literature class. Seeing Ryan from afar, she immediately pulled out the book Wuthering Heights and pretended to be reading intently. But Ryan just passed by without even glancing at her, so she immediately chased after him and read a paragraph aloud. But Ryan kept on walking and even put his headphones back on. At this point, Claire could only stand there and stomp her feet. Well, that was a big fail. Seems like I needed to change the strategy. What about Lego? I mean, what nerd didn't like that? With this in mind, I spent the whole day helping Claire assemble a model of Hogwarts to give to Ryan. She proudly showed him the masterpiece, but he muttered out, "No thanks," then walked off, leaving Claire with a dumbfounded look on her face. And so, over and over again, from getting Claire to give him Star Wars cookies, to sticking a picture on his locker of her dressed as Black Widow, my tricks just didn't work on Ryan. God, why was this guy so odd? A few days later, as I was putting my books in my locker, Claire appeared and said snidely, "What kind of services are you guys providing? It's been weeks. Why hasn't Ryan noticed me?" Slow but steady. Just keep with it. Trust me.
Poof, trust you? I'll only give you another week. If you don't get the job done by then, I'll make sure everyone knows how much your advice sucks.
Then she left. Ugh, what an obnoxious snob. But what else can I do? I must finish the job, else my consultancy services would be over. Besides, this Madeline couldn't fail like that. And that's when I had an idea. As you can see, Ryan is engrossed in writing an essay on his laptop. And there's me, Claire, and Haley sitting on the table nearby, pretending to read books, when in actual fact, we were watching Ryan's moves. Suddenly, Ryan let out a yelp, which made the whole library jump and gained him a dirty glare from the librarian. Then Claire sashayed over to him and said in a sweet voice, "Hey Ryan, is everything okay?" "No, my laptop's glitched out. My important essay is on there and I haven't saved it. This can't be happening." He jabbed at the keys. "I'll take a look. I'm pretty good with computers." She leaned over the laptop. Suddenly, Ryan's laptop made a noise and came back on, and the essay was perfectly fine. Wow, who would have thought that a hot girl like Claire would be such an IT expert, right? Ryan profusely thanked Claire and even invited her to lunch. Aha! Success, finally! Hey, don't tell me you also believe that Claire knows that much about computers. Of course not. It's all thanks to my brother Stefan. He showed me how to quickly install software to make it look like it was broken. So I used it on Ryan's laptop when he went to grab a book. My bro also showed me the secret code to get it working again in a flash, and I passed this on to Claire. Finally, the most difficult mission I've ever faced was over, and Claire and Ryan were officially dating. I wanted to celebrate, so I planned a movie trip with Haley. But then Luke surprised her with amusement park tickets, and she canceled to go with him. Ugh, so much for mates before dates. So here I am alone. It's safe to say I was in a bad mood, but then, to make it worse, the couple sitting behind me kept teasing each other, loudly smooching, and even kicking my chair. Ugh! I can't take it anymore. I turned around and was about to give them a piece of my mind. Huh? It was Claire with Jackson, the troublemaker from math class. The two of them also panicked when they saw me. What is this? Didn't she just ask me to help win over Ryan? Before I could ask her what was going on, she dragged me into the lobby. You better keep quiet about this or else. I don't get it. I thought you liked Ryan. Please. Of course I don't actually like that nerd. I'm just using him. If you tell anyone about this, I'll make sure your consulting service is finished. What? Is she threatening me? Well, it's true that she paid for the consulting service, but that doesn't mean I accept her using me for malicious purposes. I couldn't just stand by and watch Claire play with Ryan's feelings like this. So I left the movie theater and went around to Ryan's house. As soon as he opened the door, I blurted the truth out to him. He looked bummed out about it and then shouted at me to go away. Please, Ryan, we can't let her get away with this. We need to teach her a lesson. He thought about this, then eventually nodded and gruffly said, Yeah, fine. Whatever. Luckily, that weekend, Claire's parents invited Ryan over for dinner. Now, let the payback plan commence. It's Claire. My phone went off, so I borrowed my sister's to text you. Come over in 15 minutes. I miss you so much.
Okay, on my way. Love you. X.
I was going over the plan once again in my head, then I suddenly saw someone sneaking near Claire's bedroom window. It was Jackson. He quickly climbed into Claire's room. I texted Ryan at once. The prey has arrived, then climbed in after Jackson. Seeing me, Jackson was frantic.
What on earth are you doing here?
Right at that moment, we heard footsteps outside. Afraid to be caught, Jackson ran over to the window to escape, but I quickly rushed over to block his way.
What are you two doing in Claire's room?
That was Claire's mom, and behind her was Ryan, and a panicked-looking Claire.
Claire, please can you explain to me why there appears to be a gathering taking place in your room?
Claire gave a flustered look, then blurted out, well, I'm dating Jackson. I only lied to you that I was dating Ryan because he's a top student, so you wouldn't stop me going out to see him, as I knew you'd never accept Jackson. It turns out, Claire's parents were so excited about her daughter dating such a smart boy like Ryan that they wanted to invite him over, which is why she hired me to help. They were furious to learn she'd been deceiving them, and no surprises, they grounded her for a month with no allowance. Poor her, but she had it coming. So, now what? Well, I decided to stop the consultancy service. I love helping people, but I don't like seeing anyone get hurt. Most people used my service for the right reasons, but I can never be sure that someone wouldn't use it for the wrong reasons again, and I don't want to be any part of that. It's not all bad anyway, as I've made a new friend out of it. Ryan. Speaking of which, he once caught up with me after class and said,
Hey, I need your consultancy help. It's pretty urgent.
I sighed and replied, Ryan, you know I don't do that anymore.
But you owe me one. I want you to help me ask this cute girl out. I really like her. Her name is Madeline.
Huh? I didn't know any other Madelines.
Oh.
Hang on. Did he mean me? Right on cue, Haley and Luke appeared. Hey, Ryan. If Madeline rejects your case, I'll do it. I have a lot of experience, too. I rolled my eyes at her, then peered at Ryan. OMG, he liked me. I couldn't stop blushing. It looks like this matchmaker may have just accidentally managed to match herself. This was like a dream come true. That gorgeous man in front of me is Ethan, my crush since I was just 14. Back then, Ethan was my dad's business partner. So he'd often come over to our house for dinner. For years, I adored him in secret. But now, at 19, I could finally be honest about my feelings. So when I ran into him by chance in the grocery store, I felt like it was meant to be. He invited me for a drink in the cafe nearby, and we instantly hit it off. We started dating, and now we're an official couple. There's just one thing that worries me. Ethan is recently divorced and has a 10-year-old daughter, Clarice, who he has full-time. While daydreaming, I couldn't hide away from the thought of being someone's stepmom. Oh my, I didn't want to become a mom yet. Don't worry, Clarice is a cute kid. I just know you two will get along. Clarice gave me a devious smile the moment she saw me.
Another fish got hooked.
Huh? Hey, that's not the right manner. Apologize, now! Ethan immediately said. Clarice let out a loud, ugh, then reluctantly apologized. Great! When has it ever been easy to be friends with a naughty 10-year-old girl? I understand this better than most, as I have a little sister. She's either giving me a headache or crazing at me for candy, and I could tell that Clarice was gonna be no different. One day, Ethan called me in a panic, saying he had an urgent business trip. They informed me at the very last minute. I didn't have time to find a babysitter. Can you help me take care of Clarice for a few days? What? I've only just met the girl, and now I have to mind her for a few days? I still didn't know what to say when Ethan continued. I'll make it up to you after this. And then, the next thing I knew, Clarice was at my front door. Oh gosh, somebody help me! Well, you know those girls that age, like my little sister? I kept pouring out while Mike just smiled and slightly shook his head. I have to make her like me to win over Ethan. So, lovely Mike, can you please come hang out with us? Seriously? Please? Aren't you good with the ladies? Fine. You know I can't say no to you. I took Clarice to a theme park. She frowned the moment she saw Mike.
Who's this? I don't like strangers.
I smiled and said, This is Mike. He's really cool and
I don't care.
Cindy? What kind of situation did you drag me into? Man, I had to ask myself that question. This wasn't what I envisioned it to be. The outing turned into a competition between them. Clarice challenged Mike to play game after game with her until she won. In the end, they played with the water guns, and I knew for sure Mike let her win. But as soon as he let go of his water gun, Clarice squirted water all over him, leaving him completely drenched. Oops. What on earth is this?
That's the price for the loser.
Okay, Cindy, that's enough. Have fun. And he stormed off. Oh no, what have I done to him? I stood there dumbfounded, staring at Clarice. Okay, so it was kind of funny, but I couldn't laugh at my poor friend.
I want ice cream.
Clarice grinned, then skipped away. Ice cream. A girl after my own heart. On the way home, we talked so much about her fave show, The Babysitter's Club, and how Stacy is her favorite character. Maybe the day wasn't so bad after all. A few days later, Ethan returned, and I was really excited to see him. Thank you so much for taking care of Clarice. Meanwhile, I noticed Clarice was slowly backing out, with an awkward look on her face. I thought she'd be as happy as me to see him, but it didn't seem that way. Darling, are you okay? Are you sick?
I'm okay. I need to go to my room.
After that, at dinner, the question, "Are you sick?" was raised no less than 10 times, and it made me feel sick too.
I said I'm not sick, and I don't want to see a doctor.
Ethan, I think Clarice is fine, so maybe stop asking her. Hearing that, Ethan seemed uncomfortable and turned away. Weird. What was wrong with them? Maybe this was just something they did. Whatever it is, I wasn't enjoying this heavy atmosphere. The next day after lunch, Clarice was helping me clean the table while Ethan was packing to go on his next trip. She insisted on washing the dishes while I said goodbye to Ethan. We were hugging in the doorway when suddenly I heard a loud scream coming from the kitchen. Ethan and I both rushed in there and saw Clarice crying as she gripped her hand. Ethan frantically asked, "What happened?" while I quickly searched for a first aid kit.
I was washing the dishes, but I accidentally cut my hand. Cindy, I'm sorry. I wasn't being careful. Please don't punish me.
What? What was she talking about? Ethan seemed to have the same question as me.
Cindy always makes me do the chores. She told me if I do them badly, I can't have dinner.
Huh? Why was she saying things that weren't true? Turning pale with shock, I muttered out, "No, that's not true.
I don't want to stay here. Dad, let me go home."
Clarice interrupted me as she was crying harder. "I'm so sorry, but I have to go now. I don't even know if you're lying or not."
"How can you say that to me?"
Clarice shouted.
"You monster!"
Then she ran upstairs. I stood there not knowing what to do. My brain couldn't process what just happened. Ethan looked at me and sighed. Why didn't he say anything? He didn't honestly think I was capable of doing that. Did he? I decided I needed to confront Clarice about this. So I went up to her room and calmly said, "Clarice, why did you say that?"
"You forced me to do all the chores."
"What? How can you lie like that? I never do such a thing."
"Oh, but are people gonna believe you or a poor little girl?"
Oh my God. There was me, thinking she was a sweet kid, when in actual fact, she was the complete opposite. I rushed outside and, shaking, I pulled my phone out. I called Mike and told him everything. "Oh boy, that kid is complicated. Maybe she doesn't want you to be with her dad. But even so, what she did was weird. I think you should stay away from them." But how to? I couldn't just run away. Besides, Ethan was on his trip, again, and I was in charge of her. So I kept my distance, no more talking or having fun. But it seemed that Clarice had other ideas. I was watching TV in the living room when Clarice appeared and pulled my shirt.
"Cindy, I want you to play video games with me."
The more silent I was, the harder she pulled. "No, Clarice, I'm not in the mood," I shouted. "Go play by yourself." Then I walked off. A few minutes later, Cass, a senior student, came over to give me some documents. We sat down and had some iced tea. Then suddenly, bam! And a cry. Oh no! Cass and I rushed to the noise. Clarice had fallen down the stairs in the basement and was surrounded by the laundry basket and dirty clothes. Cass quickly ran down there and helped her up. "Are you okay? What happened?"
"Cindy told me to do the laundry in time. The basket was so full, so I slipped."
No, no, no! I screamed inside my head when Cass gave me a concerned look. "Cass, please, I'll explain later. Can you please leave?" "Why?" I screamed at Clarice's face the moment Cass left.
"If you don't play with me, you'll be a child abuser. You'll have to go to jail."
Ugh, this is driving me crazy. Just a few days ago, she wanted her dad to take her away from here, and now she's blackmailing me for not playing with her? Right at that moment, Ethan called. "Hi, Cindy. I just want to check on you too. Is Clarice sick or anything?" Ugh, what on earth is this? Am I crazy? Or are these two actually weird? OMG. I need Mike. Now. "Please, take me away from here," I said as I opened the door for Mike. "Stop!" Clarice shouted. "You two can't go anywhere!" "Oh, now you're telling me what not to do?"
"If you go, I'll tell the whole world how badly you've been treating me. You'll both go to jail."
"So that's your scam?" Her smirk disappeared. She turned pale and stuttered.
No, it was my dad's."
"Your dad's scam?" Clarice looked flustered as she realized what she had just blurted out. Then she quickly covered it up.
"Nothing!"
Mike sat down and looked at her with stern eyes. I stood there, waiting for the answer.
My daddy made me!"
Eventually, Clarice confessed. Turns out, Ethan was a professional scammer who scams young, wealthy girls into giving him money. Worse, he dragged his daughter into his scheme. The plan went like this. He used his handsome looks to flirt with the girls, then Clarice's cuteness to get the girls' empathy. After that, he would go on some last-minute business trip and ask them to take care of Clarice. Meanwhile, Clarice would pretend to be seriously sick. When Ethan arrived back, he would persuade the girls to hand over money for hospital fees, then he and Clarice would disappear out of their lives.
"At first he told me to do what he said and he'd get me a bike."
"What about the abusing lie you made up?" I asked, still shocked.
"I made up that excuse so Dad would take me away. I really like you, so I don't want his plan to work."
"Then why did you continue to act up?"
"Because Cindy was mad at me, and I wanted her to play with me, so I pulled that trick again."
Tears streamed down my face. Unbelievable! I voluntarily stepped into his trap right at the beginning. He didn't even have to do much. I felt like such an idiot. After that, we exposed Ethan. Clarice helped us too. Turns out he's bankrupt, which is why his wife left him and why he's no longer my dad's business partner. Ethan was arrested, but Clarice's mom was out of the country, and she refused to return for her daughter. To be honest, I love Clarice, and I didn't want her to live in the orphanage. So I let her live at my place for a while before I told my parents everything. Obviously, my parents have more capacity and power to deal with this. It took a while for Clarice to get over her guilt and settle in, but now we get on better than ever. She's a sweet, cute girl who deserves far better than her parents have given her. Then one day, I came back home from college to find Clarice placing some roses on the dining table, which was already romantically set up with candles and steak.
"Cindy, you're back!"
"How can you prepare a full dinner like this?" Clarice didn't say anything. She just giggled and ran to her room. Someone hugged me from behind. "Would you mind being my date tonight?" It was Mike. Thinking about it, I guess my perfect man was right under my nose this entire time. So, grinning, I turned around and replied, "I thought you'd never ask."
This was my first ever day at high school, and naturally, I'm owning it. I mean, who wouldn't want to befriend someone as beautiful and friendly as me? By lunchtime, I already had loads of new friends, and everyone flocked around me to hear stories about my amazing life. I soon became super popular at school. I was the gorgeous, enchanting blonde beauty. Do you know what the best part was? Boys started noticing me too. Even the captain of the basketball team, Mitch, took a liking to me. It makes sense. I mean, obviously, the best-looking boy in the school is going to be interested in the best-looking girl. And guess what? He's following me on my way home right now. Stalking me much, huh? Just wait for it. It seemed like my new life here in this school was going to be awesome.
Well, Mandy. That was not an easy question, but you answered it perfectly. Great work.
See? I'm not just a pretty face. I'm also one of the smartest students in the school. My admirers grew and grew. It seemed like everyone wanted to spend time with someone as perfect as me. Here, I was telling my new friends about how at first, people sometimes misjudge me, as I come from a well-educated and extremely successful family. My parents are super wealthy individuals who encourage me to always be the best version of myself and strive hard to never let them down.
Hey, Mandy, pardon me, but how come you never wear designer clothes or use anything expensive?
She looked down at my tatty-looking sneakers. I see why it might seem a little peculiar, but you see, I dress this way because my parents value the importance of being humble. That's also how I live. Goodness is better than beauty, right? Then I pulled out my phone and showed them the grades from my last school. Everyone gasped at me for being so excellent. I was loved, admired, adored. But of course, being this amazing meant that there's just gotta be quite a few kids being jealous of me. I mean, I suppose I couldn't blame them. After all, I dazzled like a diamond, while they were just dull and ordinary. One time after an exam, as soon as the teacher left, this girl called Layla stood up and said,
Mandy cheated. I saw it with my own eyes.
I saw it too. She checked her phone during the exam. Everyone was gasping in shock. Right at that moment, the class president, Marshall, shouted,
Hey, quit it! We all know Mandy's a great student. There's no way she cheated.
Huh, that's what I'm talking about. Layla and Susan must be bursting with envy that their petty plan to ruin me didn't work. And the class president, he came out of nowhere to protect me. He must be another one of my many admirers. But, sorry, Marshall, I'm way out of your league. A girl like me needed a handsome, rich, mature kind of guy. These boys at school are cute, but they're just boys. They're beneath me. One time I was in a rush and didn't have time to search my locker, so I accidentally took the wrong textbook with me to class. Seeing my mistake, Layla and Susan immediately jumped in. Uh-oh, what's this? We thought Miss Perfection here never messed anything up. I didn't even have a chance to say anything, as this Beth girl spoke up. Hey, cut it out! Who doesn't make mistakes once in a while, huh? Here, you can share mine. Oh, wow. This girl was kind of nice. It was good to have an ally to deal with Layla and Susan. So, at lunchtime, I joined Beth's table. We started chatting, and she was clearly fascinated by how amazing my life was. Great! Now I had a faithful sidekick. Hey, Beth, help me do the homework for today, okay? Again? I have to attend a very important party with my parents tonight. There will be politicians and plutocrats. I won't have time to do homework. Now I have to go home early to get dressed and do my makeup. Bye! I didn't need to turn around to see her funny, bewildered face. She looked like that every time I asked her to do my homework. But it was worth it. Right, Beth? She got to hang out with the hottest prodigy in school. Me! So a little bit of extra homework was a small price to pay for such a privilege. You know, to me, that homework was nothing. I just didn't have time for it. I had to admit that having Beth around was very convenient. She made sure my grades stayed top of the class, leaving me time to play polo, go to the golf club, and attend charity functions with my parents. She also let me borrow her dresses, bags, makeup, and this super cute pair of high heels. My friends admired me, strangers idolized me, my teachers adored me, and I had a wonderful, loyal best friend. Life was perfect. Until one day, as I was shimmying along the hallway, I noticed something odd. People weren't giving me their usual looks of adoration. Instead, they were turning their noses up at me. Huh? What was happening? Hey, Beth, do you know what's going on? People are acting really weird. She just shrugged. I don't know. Let's see. I tried to tell myself that it was no big deal, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. Then later that day, my worst fears were confirmed. As I entered the classroom, Marshall came over to me and waved his phone in my face.
Good game, Miss Perfect. Turns out you're just a big fat liar.
I looked at his phone and saw a long post with a lot of photos attached. There's a big title saying, The Truth About Mandy the Liar, and each photo came with a caption. Mandy's house is actually very ordinary. She lives with her grandparents. There are no luxurious mansions or wealthy parents. When Mandy just came to the school, she made friends with everyone, bragging about her fame, fortune, and popularity.
I don't know who she is. So what if we just shared the same path to the bus stop? Who said that I intend to get acquainted with her?
Her transcript from her old school isn't even hers. She's just photoshopped her name on it.
Every time she stood up to answer a question or take a test, she cheated, so she got a good grade.
God, all this? How did they know? It felt like my heart had lodged in my throat, and my mind was spinning. My eyes blurred when I saw Layla and Susan approaching me. I stared at them in shock. Mandy, honestly, we don't hate you. It's just that we realized your stories were ridiculous, so we decided to find out the truth. That's right, but you sure did cover your tracks. We couldn't find a thing.
Hang on, so who found these pieces of evidence?
I did! Right at that moment, my so-called best friend appeared, followed by the homeroom teacher. Mandy, I know you think I'm some desperate wannabe you can control, but no! I soon worked out that everything you said was a lie, so I gathered evidence to prove it. Everyone was gawping at me with disappointment. I felt completely overwhelmed by the situation. This couldn't actually be happening. I pinched my arm. Ouch! It was as painful and as real as what was going down before my eyes right now. Beth continued. It's not good for you to live a lie like this. Who even are you? Ah! Reality images started flooding into my mind, making my brain feel like it was going to explode. I grabbed my head and ran out of the classroom. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in the hospital. The homeroom teacher was sitting next to me, and my grandparents were also there. They all looked very disappointed.
Mandy, the principal was very angry and was about to expel you. But it was Beth and her friends who convinced him to let you stay.
What? Beth? But she was the one who exposed me. Noticing my surprise, the teacher continued.
After seeing your reaction, Beth realized that perhaps you had a psychological problem, so she convinced us to help bring you to the hospital for diagnosis.
I looked up at my grandparents. They were all in tears. Unexpectedly, I burst out crying. I longed so much to have a dream life full of fame, riches, and admirers that I drew a vision for myself in another reality. I was so absorbed in that illusory scenario that I forgot my own reality. This was last month, and I'm currently on medication for my delusions, and I'm also seeing a therapist. Right now, I'm on my way to see Beth, Layla, Susan, and Marshall. No, I'm not making it up. I really am meeting them. Oh gosh, there they are. This is scary, but it's something I've got to do. So I took a deep breath, then taking my therapist's advice, I spoke from the heart. Hi guys, thanks for coming. Firstly, I want to apologize for lying. The truth is, I've lived the lie so much that I could no longer distinguish what was real and what wasn't. My therapist helped me see that this all began after I lost my parents. Part of my subconscious craved for this dream life so badly that I created a new one. This way I didn't have to accept the truth, which is that my parents have passed away and I live with my dirt-poor grandparents. When I finished talking, I looked at them, half expecting them to shout at me or something, but instead, Beth smiled at me and said, "It took a lot of guts to come here and say that." I'm sorry, too. I shouldn't have outed you like that, but I didn't know you were ill.
Same. I'm proud of you.
Me too.
Me 3. Now, when are we gonna order cake?
So, what now? Well, I'm still taking my medication and talking to my therapist. I can now tell the difference between the make-believe and reality. Also, I'm back at school, and my teachers and classmates have all been really welcoming. Better still, I now have some awesome friends who like me for me. And you know what? It turns out that living in reality isn't actually so bad after all.
I was casually walking along the hallway, just minding my own business, when I felt a cold breeze rush through the hallway. I turned my head to see, and oh, it was Natasha. I didn't mean to look her in the eye, but I did. Oh no, was she going to hit me? Panicked, I quickly glared down at my feet. My heart was thudding with fear, and inside my head, I repeated, "Please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me." But to my relief, she walked past me. Phew! Hi, I'm Marcus, and you might be wondering why I'm so afraid of that girl, right? Well, there's a reason why her nickname is Silent but Deadly. She's the tallest girl in the school, intimidating, and she never utters a word. The school was full of rumors about her, such as how the last kid who messed with her ended up in intensive care. Nobody, and I mean nobody, should ever look her in the eye, not unless they want to end up unconscious. I definitely just had a lucky escape. Thankfully, not all the girls in my school were as terrifying as Natasha. Nope. Instead, there was this really cute girl named Naomi. She's beautiful, sweet, and gentle. Only, she's also super popular and is dating Nicholas, the captain of the basketball team. So I just kept my feelings to myself and carried on with my life. But wait, where's my notebook? I guess I left it back in the science lab. So I rushed in there and, oh no, Nicholas was there and he was reading my notebook. I quickly grabbed it off of him, but it was too late. He'd already taken pictures of the song lyrics I wrote about my feelings for Naomi. Blast it! So let me get this straight. A nerd like you dares to daydream about Naomi? But we have a problem here. She's my girlfriend. Don't you know that? Wait, it's not like that. I'll stay away from her, I promise. Nicholas gave me this unnerving look. Ugh, no good thing could ever come from a look like that. I braced myself for what he was about to do next. You have to do everything I say, else I'm gonna ruin your life. Huh? Was he being serious? Judging by his devious smirk, yup, he was 100% being serious. I want you to ask Natasha out. Make sure you do it in front of the whole class. What? Natasha? That scary girl? How could I? If you say no, the entire school will know about this. Then he waved his phone in front of me. Ugh, that vile Nicholas. But I couldn't risk my song being sent to everyone, so it looked like I had no choice. So the following day, I walked over to Natasha's desk and asked her, Natasha, will you be my girlfriend? The whole class was silent. Then they burst out laughing. She glared at me. Ugh, this wasn't good. I winced, preparing for the death punch. But instead, she led me out into a corner of the hallway. Then she gave me this weak smile, followed by a nod. Oh my God, did she just agree to be my girlfriend? This is crazy. It was completely beyond my expectations. But, whew, at least I was still alive, right? And that's how I ended up dating the scariest girl in school. She never spoke to me, not even a word. So I just helped her with her studies and carried her stuff around. We also exchanged numbers, but we only chatted through messages. Then one day when I was on my way to have lunch with Natasha, Nicholas strolled over to me and told me I had to take her to the cinema to catch this awful-looking rom-com, which didn't seem like her thing at all. But what other choice did I have? Nicholas' words were orders. So I asked her over lunch, and to my surprise, Natasha smiled, then gave me a big thumbs up as agreement. When I went to pick up Natasha, she was already waiting for me on her porch. She walked over with a notepad. Curious, I asked her why she had it, and she wrote, I won't be able to text you during the movie, so this will have to do. Yep, Natasha has always been different from everyone else, so I didn't ask anymore. During the film, I noticed Natasha was crying, so when it was over and we stopped for lunch, I teased her. I saw you crying during the movie. She slammed her notepad on the table after she wrote, I was not crying. I just laughed and took her home. Maybe she wasn't as scary as the rumors made her out to be. To be honest, she was also quite cute. The more time I spent with Natasha, the more I started to warm to her. There was something I liked about her, even though we had only communicated through sticky notes. I was desperate to hear her voice, so I hatched a plan. When we were in the library on a study date, I picked up an old book and blew the dust in her face. She almost sneezed. But before she did, she placed her hand over her mouth and raced into the girls' bathroom. Then she returned wearing a mask. After that, I tried to make her laugh. I quickly took 2 pencils from the table and stuffed them into my nose. and started making ugly faces. But Natasha just glared at me and handed me a note. If you continue to do these ridiculous things, there will be payback. No way was I giving up. So the next day, when I saw her by her locker, I rushed over to her and began imitating the voices of the minions. I thought it would definitely work this time, but no, instead she punched me in the arm. Ouch! Yep, I now learned that the rumor about her inhuman strength was not an exaggeration. So I just gave up and our relationship continued. Then one weekend, when I was at Natasha's house to study, I went down to the kitchen to get a drink, just as her mom returned from the grocery store. As I helped her unpack, we started talking. She told me about Natasha's love of collecting glass art, the pieces of which filled the house. Then her mom touched my shoulder and thanked me for making her daughter happy again. Oh man, this was awkward. Now I felt super bad. To divert the convo, I asked if Natasha talked at home, but she just smiled and replied, "Natasha's such a quiet kid, right?" Then she told me how it's because Natasha's always been taller than the other kids, but she has a squeaky voice. This led to lots of teasing, and once she got so upset, she pushed a boy over and accidentally caused him to have a nosebleed. Since then, people started to shun her, so she withdrew from herself and stayed silent. Hearing this made me feel so guilty. What I was doing was wrong, and Natasha didn't deserve this. Then her mom said something that truly shocked me. In middle school, this one girl named Naomi was horrible to all. The mean comments got so bad she refused to go into school for weeks at a time. Huh? Naomi? The same Naomi I know? No way! Confused, I told Natasha's mom I needed to leave and left her looking bewildered as I ran out of there. My mind was a mess. I had a crush on a mean girl. And I'm just as bad, if not worse, after what I did to Natasha. Then my phone rang with a text from Natasha. It said, "Sorry if my mom said something she shouldn't have. You okay?" I texted back, "We need to talk tomorrow, please." So we decided to meet at her house the next day. Alone in her living room, I told her everything, including my notebook, liking Naomi and how Nicholas was blackmailing me. "Natasha, please, you have to believe me. I'm sorry I did this to you." I saw the hurt look in her eyes. Then she threw a note at me and ran to her room. The note told me to get out, but before I did, I stood on the other side of her door. "I don't expect you to forgive me, but I couldn't continue our relationship on a lie. Look, I like you, and I don't want to deceive you anymore." After that, I left, and I also texted Nicholas that I didn't care if he told everyone. I'm done being his puppet. The next day, I expected school to be intolerable, but to my surprise, nothing happened. Instead, I saw that Natasha was trying to sort out her locker. A crowd had gathered around her, and Naomi was taunting her. "How does it feel to know that even your boyfriend likes me more? He doesn't like you." Natasha carried on sorting out her books, but I could see that she was fighting back tears. Furious, I pushed past them all and told Naomi to stop. She just jokingly said, "You know, if you wanted to date me, you could have just asked. You didn't have to spend so many months suffering with this giant scarecrow. You're right, I did like you back when I thought you were a nice person. But now I know the true you. You're a coward who only feels good when it's at the expense of someone's misery. And I can see why you target Natasha the most, because she has two things you'll never have, a true kind heart and a loving spirit." After that, I pulled Natasha away and told her how sorry I am. But she didn't even glance at me and just walked off. A few days later, after PE class, I was about to go to the locker room when a classmate, Dante, came up to me. "Marcus, help me carry the PE equipment into the storage room, please. I have a stomachache." He hugged his stomach, then hurriedly ran away. Without thinking much, I packed up the equipment and carried it into the storage room. As soon as I put it down, I realized that Nicholas, Naomi, and some guys from the basketball team were waiting there for me. "Oh, well, Marcus, do you really like that weird Natasha? Didn't see that coming." Then the whole group burst into laughter. "You have no right to say that to her. Take a look at yourself." "Whoa, are you defending her?" Then she turned to Nicholas. "Babe, show him who's the boss here." Then she pulled out her phone and started recording. Nicholas smirked, then grabbed my shirt collar with one hand and reached out his fist to me with the other. I tried to struggle but couldn't get out. He was too strong. Knowing I was doomed, I closed my eyes and awaited his punch, but suddenly a loud shout came out. "Stop!" I opened my eyes to see Natasha and a teacher standing in front of the door. Turns out she overheard Dante bragging to some kid about Nicholas's plan. So she came to my rescue. I looked at her gratefully, but she turned away to avoid my gaze. Meanwhile, Nicholas hastily released my collar and lied to the teacher that we were just chatting. But of course, he didn't believe him and summoned them all to the supervisor's room. After that incident, Nicholas, Naomi, and the rest of the basketball team were suspended from school for 2 weeks. They deserved it. But who cares? I have more important things on my mind, such as winning back Natasha. I knew that her birthday was coming up, and I remembered how she loved glass art. So I bought her a glass art figure of Cinderella's glass slippers with a ticket to senior prom and a card saying, "Thank you and happy birthday. I know what you did doesn't mean you forgive me, but I want to be your real boyfriend. So I left you a ticket for senior prom. If you come and dance with me, then I know you'll give me another chance. If not, then I know that it's over. But remember, you are a special person and deserve the best." The night of prom came, and I was stuck there all alone, feeling like a fool. This sucked, but after what I did, it was what I deserved. I didn't want to stick around here without her. So I was about to leave, but then my classmate tapped my shoulder and gestured for me to turn around. OMG. It was Natasha in the most beautiful crimson red dress. She walked over to me and then reached out her hand to ask me to dance. And of course, I accepted. As the song came to an end, she leaned in and whispered to me, "Thank you, my hero." I can safely say that was the happiest night of my life, as it led to me having the best girlfriend ever. Oh, also her voice is actually really cute, although she does get annoyed with me when I tell her that.
Yeah, here's another load of bills to add to the pile. Oh, hey, I'm Zoe, a recent graduate turned office worker with a lousy wage. I could barely afford to pay for food and rent, let alone think about my college debt. It wouldn't matter so much if it was just me, as I could live off of noodle soup. But I also had Birdie to think about, my little sister. Oh, she's back from school.
"Zoe, I found Daddy today!"
Huh? I looked at her with a wry smile. Actually, this was nothing new. You see, our parents died when Birdie was just a toddler, so now she longed to have parents just like her friends did. She often said to me, "Zoe, you're like my mommy, but Clara and Polly have daddies too, and I want one." She was so innocent that whenever she saw a friendly-looking man on the street, she'd ask me, "Is that my daddy?" Come on, come here. How was school today?
"Daddy is very handsome, and he lives in a big house. Come on, I'll take you to him."
Oh, my lord. This wasn't a house. It was a mansion. Confused, I was about to question Birdie on this, but she started ringing the bell repeatedly. Before I could stop her, someone who appeared to be the butler came out and happily let us inside without questioning anything. That's odd. I sipped on my iced tea and peered around at the grandness of the place, absorbing the rich energy, when suddenly a very dashing guy walked over.
"There he is! That's Daddy!"
Huh? This was so confusing, and seeing her hug a stranger was super embarrassing. I had a talk with the guy to figure out what happened, and apparently he's called Harry, and he's 22 like me. Huh? That's crazy, as he looks and acts way older. As for the dad story, it turns out as Birdie was waiting for the school bus, she saw a woman drop her purse. So she rushed over and picked it up and was about to return it, but the woman turned around, saw Birdie holding it, and accused her of being a thief. Just in time, Harry appeared and claimed to be her father to settle the matter. Then he took her to the mansion and showed her around. So that's what happened. Ugh, my sister. Birdie has told me everything. She's such a precious child. I'd happily adopt her. No way! Why not? You like being here, don't you, Birdie?
"Zoe, I really like it here. I can play with Oreo as much as I want. And now I have a daddy just like Clara and Polly do."
But I can't just leave her alone. Of course not. You can stay with Birdie. What? How come such a good person suddenly fell from the sky? Skeptical, I told Harry I needed more time to think. He smiled and handed me his business card and told me to call him any time. What is this? Harry Atkins, The eldest son of the chairman of ATLAC Corp? Unbelievable! His name was all over the internet as a rich and educated young man. If that was the case, then surely this had to be legit, right? I can't afford to pay these. My sister and I deserve better than this life. Besides, it would be nice to have a place to stay for free, right? So the next day, I went to see Harry and offered to help with the housework as payment. Harry agreed and presented a prepared contract. Contract? Okay. But there was a clause in it that required me not to mention that I was Bertie's sister. This was a little odd, but never mind. It didn't matter. Here was to our new luxurious life. Wait, but does that mean I also have to call him Dad? So, yeah, my new life began. And oh boy, it was crazy. A maid brought me breakfast in bed and did all my laundry. So much for helping out with household chores. There are actually more servants in this house than the number of staff in my office. So it's obvious that there's nothing left for me to do. Even so, I wanted to be useful, because hearing them calling me Miss made me feel quite embarrassed. However, oops, turns out I suck at house chores. Once I put Harry's fine suit in the washing machine and ended up ruining it, which made him pace up and down the room in anger. Also, he couldn't seem to say anything nice about me, always complaining about the flowers I bought or saying the muffins I spent hours baking were too chewy. He threw away all of my handmade stuff because he thought it was garbage. What a rude man! Oh, wait, he's not even a man. He's just a stubborn kid who doesn't care about other people's feelings. I tell ya, if it weren't for Bertie and that contract, I'd... Phew! But those are just small gripes. In general, our life here was great. Bertie is very happy, and seeing her living her best life makes me smile. But unbeknown to me, turns out this was the calm before the hurricane. Hurricane Rachel! Harry's betrothed fiancée since childhood. She's from a rich family and is therefore deemed a suitable marriage alliance to Harry's family. I overheard the servants in the house saying that Harry is the successor to the company. So when he marries Rachel, the company will be even more flourishing. As soon as she saw me, Rachel kept asking Harry, "Hey, who is this? Why is she here? And this girl too? Why is there a kid in the house?
Who is this scary lady?"
Hearing that, Rachel looked at me from head to toe and then started firing questions at me. Why are you here? How do you know Harry? When are you leaving? Enough! What a relief. Harry intervened just in time, then dragged her into the reading room. Rachel followed Harry, but didn't forget to wrap her arms around his neck as she peered at me with a smug look on her face. Huh? What does she mean by that? Ugh, is she jealous? If that's the case, then she's wasting her time, because it is true that I have a crush on someone, but it's not Harry. You see, the other week I was wandering home from the grocery store when I met the love of my life. My shopping bag split, and my soda, cookies, and potato chips tumbled out. I was trying to pick everything up without getting run over, when suddenly a guy appeared and helped me. Then he drove me home. His name's Marcus, and he's so hot. After that, we exchanged numbers, and have been texting ever since. Marcus is so easy to talk to, so I confided in him about everything, from Bertie being adopted to the fact that I'm now working as a housekeeper. He's so sweet and kind, and I feel like I can tell him anything. He's the prince of my dreams. Anyway, my strange life in the mansion continued. One thing's for sure, Harry was great with Bertie. For her birthday, he surprised her with a trip to the amusement park. I have to admit, we had a lot of fun together. Bertie made us go on the carousel 5 times. Then we got ice cream. Suddenly, I noticed Harry giving me this odd look. What? You have some ice cream on your lips. Here. He leaned forward and gently dabbed it away with a napkin. Just then, a crowd rushed in, and Harry reached out and pulled me and Bertie closer to him. Our eyes met, and... Why did I have goosebumps and a pounding heart? What did that mean? Did he do that intentionally or not? Why did I have this strange feeling? While I was still sinking deep in my thoughts, Harry stopped the car and said he needed to pass by his brother's place for some files.
Huh?
Isn't that Marcus? Marcus? I blurted out.
You two know each other?
I didn't answer. Instead, I turned my attention to Bertie. When we got home, I kept wondering why Marcus never told me who he was. I texted him to ask, and he replied that they don't get along, so he didn't want me to know. Despite all that, I stayed up all night thinking about Marcus. And also Harry. It's safe to say I was confused about everything. Then, Marcus and Rachel suddenly showed up at Harry's house one day with a load of groceries. Rachel announced that she was baking a cake, as it's soon going to be her birthday, and we should all assist. Okay, weird, but whatever. I was preparing the mixture when Marcus took my stirring hand and insisted on helping me. Suddenly, Harry burst in between us. Upon seeing this, Rachel yanked on his arm and pulled him away. My eyes widened in horror as I saw the mixture fly into the air and slow-mo splatter all over us. We stood there covered in cake mixture as we all exchanged dirty looks. Okay, so after that little display, I think it's clear to say that Harry has feelings for me. Later on, when Marcus and Rachel had left, and I was freshly showered, Harry knocked on my door and, smiling at me, said,
Zoe, there's a family dinner tomorrow where you'll get to meet my parents. Don't worry, you won't have to say anything. As a way of saying thanks, I'll pay off your college debts.
Okay, so that was weird, but at this point, I'd learned not to question it anymore. Besides, it would be so nice to be debt-free, and it was just dinner, right?
I want to break off the engagement with Rachel. This is my girlfriend, and we already have a kid together.
What? I almost blurted out, but Harry squeezed my hand to stop me from saying anything, so I sat there with a dumbfounded look on my face. Right at that moment, Marcus and Rachel burst in.
Stop the act! Mom, Dad, this isn't his girlfriend, and that little girl is actually her sister.
She's just some poor maid. Yes, that's right. I've known all along. I'm the one who told Marcus to pretend to like you to get proof.
What is all this? Mom, Dad, I don't think a liar like him should be the heir of your company. I hope you rethink your decision.
I didn't understand. What's going on here? Girlfriend? My child who? The heir of what? I just knew one thing only, that I was fooled by both my crush and Harry. I felt like such an idiot. So I quickly grabbed Bertie, packed up all my stuff, then ran out of that mansion immediately. Poor innocent Bertie seemed so confused. She kept asking where her daddy was and why she couldn't stay with him. I took what was left of our savings to rent a small apartment for both of us. Life went back to normal. Final demand letters and all. This was our reality. I knew that now. The last 2 months were like a dream. It was time to wake up. But still, I felt a pang of sadness whenever I thought about how Harry had fooled me. I was snooping around online and saw an article about how Marcus had taken over the company, only to end up bankrupt due to his poor decision-making. As for Harry, well, he'd founded his own startup, and it seemed to be doing pretty well. But then, one sunny day, I was on my way to pick up Bertie from school when a familiar person walked alongside me.
Hey, it's a nice day, isn't it?
Harry? What do you want?
Look, I admit that at first, I was just using you to get out of my engagement with Rachel. But then, I want you and Bertie in my life. I love you, Zoe. Please come home with me.
Why wasn't it working? I followed all the steps, but still, nothing. At that moment, my best friend Harry walked towards me and asked with a confused look, "Hey, what you doing?" Hey, Harry. I'm just working on this plan to become popular, but it isn't going so well. I changed my style and posted more on social media, but I'm still not cool. You're probably wondering why I was desperately wanting to be popular, right? Well, It's all because of my annoying hiccups. Last year, I was on stage performing the play Our Town when I suddenly started to hiccup. Constantly. I couldn't stop, and the whole audience started to laugh at me. In the end, they had to replace me with my understudy. Not only was it the most humiliating moment of my life, but I've also been teased about it ever since. This year, I wanted to become popular. Then everyone would forget about the hiccuping incident. If only becoming popular was easy. Hey, you could help me. No way! Your plan is crazy! At that moment, the new student, Amanda, passed by, surrounded by a bunch of other students. Why is this girl so popular? I mean, she's only been here a week. You don't know? She's Dustin's sister. He's already the most popular guy in school. So being his sister makes her popular too. Duh. That's it, Harry. The fastest way for me to climb the popularity ladder is to date Dustin. At first, Harry seemed confused by this, but then he suddenly agreed to help me. With one condition, of course, that after I succeeded in becoming Dustin's girlfriend, I had to introduce Amanda to him. I knew it! He had a crush on her. Every guy in the school does. Fine, I'll help him, as I need Harry in this anyway. He plays a crucial role in my plan, and you'll soon figure out why. After school, I was waiting in a corner at the parking lot when Harry walked towards me, followed by Dustin. I heard you're giving tutor lessons? Yeah, that's right. I don't take money. I just need... What do you need? I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend. Dustin burst out laughing, but then when he saw our serious looks, he stopped. You two are crazy, but I do need to pass math, so... Okay. However, my grades have to improve within 2 weeks. Then we have a deal. Deal? I grinned. Within 2 weeks? That's so easy. What a catch. You must be wondering how we managed to pull that off. Well, Harry's on Dustin's soccer team and overheard the coach tell him if he didn't improve his math grade, he'd be kicked off the team. Basically, we used Dustin's weakness to get the deal. I know I had no chance with him by using my lousy flirting skills. So, it's time to use my greatest strength, my brain. Pretty smart, huh? I started to tutor Dustin. Then after 2 weeks, he shot up 2 grades. And that's when he held up his end of the deal and pretended to be my boyfriend. The next day, Dustin and I held hands and walked into school. And just as I expected, everybody was gawping at us. I even heard them whisper about me, "Is that the hiccup girl with Dustin?" And, "Whoa, since when were those two a thing?" Ha! And that's not all. Wherever I went, people would follow me. And in every class, everyone wanted to sit next to me. Finally, I was popular, and I loved it. I just finished tutoring Dustin at his house and was about to head home when his mom appeared and invited me to stay for dinner. Awkward, but I didn't want to be rude, so I said yes. Besides, this was a great opportunity to talk to Amanda. I was sitting next to Dustin at the dinner table when Amanda walked in and gave me a dirty look. What is she doing here? Amanda, manners! Okay, had I upset her somehow? After we finished eating, I helped Amanda clean up. I pulled some homemade chocolate cookies out of my bag and gave my friendliest smile as I said, my friend Harry, he likes you. I was wondering if... Without letting me finish my sentence, Amanda interrupted me. Sorry, let me stop you right there. First, I don't eat cookies. Gross. Second, I assume you're asking me if I want to go out with your friend, right? No, because he's a loser just like you. It's embarrassing enough that Dustin is dating you. Then she walked off, leaving me standing there dumbfounded. Oh my God, couldn't believe what I just heard. How could a person be so rude? Ugh! The next day at school, I wanted to tell Harry to give up on Amanda, but as soon as I caught sight of him, he ran towards me, hugged me, and said, "Emily, you're a matchmaking genius! Thank you!" Huh? What do you mean by that? Amanda just asked me if I wanted to come to her party this weekend. Isn't that great? Yay! What on earth was going on? But Harry looked so happy that I just couldn't tell him the truth. One thing's for sure, there's something sus about Amanda. Of course, I was going to that party too, 'Cause I was Dustin's girlfriend, remember? Wow, we were actually at a cool kids party. Our first time ever. This was awesome. Harry even got a bit emotional. What a baby. Dustin and I teamed up to play beer pong, and it was so much fun, and unexpectedly, we won! We were so excited, and both of us cheered with joy and hugged each other without thinking. Oops, didn't see that coming. But what happened next was even crazier. Everybody started to cheer, kiss, kiss, kiss. Oh boy, they couldn't be serious, right? I just laughed it off and hoped everyone would stop. But no, they just kept cheering on. Suddenly, Dustin grabbed my face and kissed me right on the lips. I didn't push him away. Oh no, instead, I closed my eyes and got carried away. I even lifted up one leg. Oh, and FYI, that was my first kiss. After that, we both turned bright red and avoided eye contact. Ugh, my whole body felt hot like I was having a fever or something. Anyway, the party was everything I dreamed of and more. The next day, Harry and I arrived at school in a super good mood. But suddenly, we saw a bunch of students gathering around someone. We squished through the crowd and saw Amanda crying. Turns out, somebody from the party had stolen 2 of her mom's Fabergé eggs. Then, one of Amanda's friends suggested checking all backpacks and lockers of everyone who went to the party last night. But the chances are low. The culprit must have been able to hide all the evidence by now. Still, we should try everything we can, right? I couldn't bear seeing Amanda crying her eyes out like this. Then he gently patted her shoulder. Hey, that was smooth. Way to go, Harry. And so, we checked a few people's belongings and still nothing was found. Then it was Harry's turn. He opened the locker and, oh my God, one of the Fabergé eggs was in there. But how? He would never do such a thing. I opened my locker and, what? There was the other one! What on earth was going on? Suddenly, Amanda started shouting at us. I knew it was you two! Hey everybody, Emily over here manipulated Dustin by using his weaknesses, his love of soccer and his dislike for math. Then she forced him to pretend to be her boyfriend just so she could be cool. Everybody started glaring at me like I was the villain, but I wasn't. There was a misunderstanding. I looked over to Dustin for help, but he just avoided my gaze, then walked off. I didn't know what to do, so I just stood there in shock until Harry dragged me off with him. Well, after that, I was more popular than ever. I was now known as the girl who took advantage of a guy to get popular and then stole from him. Worse, Amanda wouldn't listen to me. Harry and I were clearly framed. I wish I could go back to my normal life before I made that stupid deal with Dustin. Oh, but then that kiss wouldn't have happened. Oh boy, might I have fallen for Dustin? Then suddenly I got a text from Amanda. It was a clip from the recent party with the message, "You're nothing to Dustin." Why are you dating this loser? Wasn't she the girl who hiccuped during the play? I will use her until the end of this semester. Oh my, I couldn't believe he said that. I knew he didn't like me in the way I liked him, but did he have to be so mean? The clip automatically replayed again. Ugh, watching this one time was bad enough. But wait, there was a detail in the clip that caught my attention. I rewound it and, oh my God, there were the 2 missing Fabergé eggs. The clip was recorded at midnight, but Harry and I left the party way before then. I quickly rushed over to Dustin and Amanda's house and showed them the video. I don't remember you both leaving earlier. What if you're lying? Well, I noticed your front door has cameras. If you want, we could check them. Dustin turned to Amanda and confusingly asked, Did you put those eggs in Emily and Harry's lockers? Amanda said nothing, but her head down said it all. But why would you do that? Emily didn't do anything wrong. Because I don't like her being your girlfriend. I like you. What? Isn't she his sister? Oh, turns out they aren't actually siblings. Whew, that would have been weird. The truth is their parents were really close, and when Amanda's parents died in an accident, Dustin's family took her in. So Amanda was like a sister to Dustin, but Amanda, on the other hand, has been in love with him for a long time. I decided not to make a big deal out of it. As long as she posted a status on social media saying this was all a misunderstanding and that we didn't steal from her, and she reluctantly agreed. Afterward, I immediately got out of there without saying anything else to Dustin, but he ran after me and apologized for not defending me the other day. He just couldn't choose between me and Amanda, and then he said,
"That clip you saw wasn't what you think."
"Ugh, what's there not to understand? It was so obvious. Then what is it? Please tell me." But Dustin just stood there silent and stared down at his sneakers. Just like I thought. There's nothing else to explain, so I stormed off. The next day, Amanda posted the status and our names were finally cleared. My life is back to being boring, but it's okay, as I now know that being popular isn't what brings me happiness. Oh, and about me and Dustin? Well, a few days later, he sent me a video. It was the same clip from the party. At first, this frustrated me. I mean, why would he make me endure watching that again? But then I noticed that this clip was longer, so out of curiosity, I pressed play. And you won't believe what happened in the second half of that video. After the part where Dustin said he just wanted to use me, everybody teased him more. He got angry and yelled.
"Yes, Emily is weird, but weird in a good way. I like the way she smells books every time she opens one, and the cute way she gets embarrassed when she sneezes loudly. And do you know what I like most about her? That she hiccups every time she's nervous. You heard me right. I like her."
You see? Dustin likes me too. Amanda cut this part of the video out on purpose so I'd misjudge him. But now that I knew the truth, what do you think I did? Yeah, of course I forgave him. I mean, how couldn't I? Ugh! Why wasn't this jerk opening the door? I carried on with my thudding until my hands hurt. So it seemed like she'd gone already. What a sly fox! So, the woman who lives here is my mom's friend, Carol. My mom, being the kind-hearted person she is, lent her some money to get herself out of a tricky situation. The problem being that Carol hasn't paid it back, and now she was ghosting my mom. Do you know what the worst part is? That money was for my college fund. Fueled with rage, I kicked the air to release my anger. But, oops, I watched in horror as a pebble flew through the air in slow-mo, then hit a car window. Oh dear! Swallowing my fear, I snuck closer to the car to inspect how bad the damage was. Suddenly, the car door opened and 2 thugs stepped out. I tried to stay calm, apologized, and offered them some money as compensation. Unexpectedly, these guys grinned.
"Okay, sweetheart. If you want to make up for it, then follow us."
Just like that, one of them grabbed my wrist and pulled me away. Ugh, as if they were going to harm a defenseless girl. But too bad for these 2 doofuses. They're actually looking at a Taekwondo black belt master here. I was about to throw an axe kick when suddenly a guy appeared out of nowhere.
"Don't worry, I'll take care of it."
Before I had time to blink, he lunged at the guys like a warrior and ended up beaten black and blue. Really? Who's rescuing whom now? Without hesitation, I threw a few kicks that made the 2 thugs turn pale. They ran back to their car, and when they were out of my kicking range, they turned their heads and sarcastically said,
"We spared you this once. Oh, and choose a better boyfriend next time."
I looked down to see the pathetic guy writhing on the ground. Oh yeah, I'd almost forgotten about him. He was pretty useless in a fight, but hey, at least he tried to help me. So I took him to a nearby medical station to bandage the wound. His name's Tyler. He's skinny, but yeah, pretty heroic, I must say. He still seemed to be in pain, so I offered him a ride home, but he quickly refused. Okay, fine. He must have been scared off by how fierce I appeared to be. Yet, as soon as I turned my back to walk away...
Wait, something's wrong with my phone.
What now?
Your number isn't in it.
Man, it's 2022 already, and he's still using that outdated pickup line? Still, I burst out laughing, then put my number in his phone. After that, we started messaging every day. He sent the cutest memes, and it made me feel good. To be honest, I know I can be kinda intimidating, so having a sweet guy like Tyler take an interest in me made my heart flutter a little bit. And there's no denying that he's cute. A real softie. Well, he is a music school student. a legit singer-songwriter to watch out for in the future. And so, we became a couple. However, it didn't take long for me to realize that there was something very strange about this guy. 100% of our dates were at fast food restaurants, and while I was ordering a Coke, Tyler would ask the staff for an extra cup and ice. I still remember how surprised I was when I first saw him surreptitiously pull out a bottle of dark-colored water from his pocket. Oh, but you're not meant to bring outside drinks in. Don't worry, this is black coffee. It's basically the same color as Coke, so no one will know. Huh? Did I hear him wrong? Turns out I didn't, as this became a regular occurrence whenever we were out to eat. But that's not all. On a rare occasion, we went for a fruit salad with burrata cheese. I almost choked on my food when Tyler took out a container of yogurt and tipped all the fruit on the plate in it. And here comes fruit yogurt, but I'll put it away for later. It's not so right to eat this here, isn't it? Then one day, when it was our 3rd-month anniversary, Tyler said he was going to take me to this amazing French restaurant. Wow, I was so excited as he finally broke his rules. But turns out, it was just going to be another typical Tyler date. Things had gone wrong since the first minutes. When he parked up, he started searching his car for change. He even made me look down the side of the seat. Why, you ask? All 'cause the meter was $2.90, but he didn't want to pay $3 and lose a dime. Seriously, a dime! He ran off to find it and left me sitting there alone and hungry for 20 minutes. When he returned, he had this huge grin on his face as he waved the dime in my face. Oh boy, I was so mad. You're probably thinking it couldn't get any worse than that, right? Wrong. Not only did he order a starter as a main dish, but he also asked if there's a discount if he didn't get dressing on his salad. After eating, he rushed off to the restroom and left me with his wallet to pay. He arrived back just as I was about to tip the waiter $10. Seeing this, Tyler leapt across the table, grabbed the $10, and switched it for a nickel. Yes, I repeat, a nickel. Meanwhile, the surprised waiter sarcastically said, "Sir, thank you very much for my nickel tip." The customers close by all tutted at us. I sunk down into my seat, willing for it to swallow me up. Jeez, this was so humiliating. No surprise, I was in a bad mood as we left the restaurant. I was so annoyed I couldn't even look at him. He tried taking my arm and asked me what was wrong. Flinching away from him, I said, "Seriously? Do you even have to ask?" At that moment, a luxury car pulled up alongside us. The car window lowered, and OMG! Inside was Victoria T, this popular teen singer. Before I could register what was going on, Victoria sarcastically said, "Oh, look who's here. Isn't that my poor ex? Can't gold dig me, so you turn to this girl, huh? But your new plan doesn't seem to be working too well either, honey." And the car sped away. So, it turns out he's a professional gold digger? He hadn't actually asked me for any money, but there's no denying he was stingy. No wonder he never took me back to his place. There was a time when I was so tired of some family stuff at home that I just wanted to come over to his and rest for a while. But he made some excuse about his house being messy. Now I knew he was just keeping distant with me, so later he could dump me easier without any attachment. I was so furious I made a scene, meaning to expose his cheap shots for the whole world to see. Tyler was so embarrassed he fled the scene right away. Whatever. Good riddance. And since then, I didn't hear anything from him again. But, to be honest, I also felt a bit empty not having him around. I missed getting the cute messages he used to send and the soppy look on his face as he sang love songs to me. Oh boy, I'm a big cheeseball, aren't I? Then, one weekend afternoon, I was taking a walk when I happened to see Tyler come out of a cafe. Does he work part-time here or something? So I hid behind a corner and then followed him. I have to admit, I was curious about where he lives. But wait, this road is so familiar. Huh? And it led to Carol's house, the woman who borrowed money from my mom. I was still full of doubt till he pulled out the key to open the door. Ugh. Like mother, like son, huh? So, you both like to scam people, huh? Pay us back now.
Stacy?
Shut up! Scam's over. Pay us back.
I'm sorry, but my mom's in the hospital now.
So, I heard him out, and turns out it was just Tyler and his mom, and his dad had run off with some other woman when he was just a little kid. Growing up, times were hard, so his mom borrowed money to pour into stock investments, intent on providing them with a better life. Unfortunately, this only led to huge debts. All this stress was detrimental to her health, and now she was in the hospital, and Tyler had no other way but to live frugally to pay all the debt and hospital fees.
Stacy, I'm so sorry for hiding all this from you. I'll try my best to work to be debt-free and make it up to you.
Oh my heart fell hearing Tyler say that. All the angst just disappeared. Instead, I pulled him in for a big hug. He was a doofus, and he was my doofus, and I wasn't going to risk losing him again. On my way home, I kept thinking about ways in which I could help Tyler. Suddenly, the wind blew a poster across my foot. A city's television singing competition, with the prize up to $20,000. That's it, Tyler. Why not? This was definitely a sign. I sent Tyler a picture of the poster and told him he had to join. He was also really keen on the idea and started practicing really hard every day. He texted me each time he finished practicing, sometimes even at 2 or 3 a.m. The big day arrived. Tyler looked so cute in the suit I'd arranged for him. When he hit the chorus, our eyes met, which made me feel so sentimental. But out of nowhere, Victoria got up on stage, snatched the mic from his hand, and said, "My apologies to the audience, but I have to expose this person. He and his mom manipulated people into giving them thousands of dollars, then never paid them back. This kind of man doesn't deserve to be here on the stage. He'll stain the whole competition."
Vic, I appreciate your feelings for me, but I already have the one whom I want to protect. I wish you could find someone good for you and better than me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's true that my family is in debt, but we do not and never run away from this. No matter how tough our lives are, I still live true to my conscience and my passion for music. I came here with a pleasant and carefree attitude, so I don't care what people say about me. I just want to give all of myself to music and the audience. Thank you. And now, I'll carry on with the performance.
And then he started singing the song he wrote for me. At that moment, the music nerd was no longer there. Instead, there was a man with incredible inner power. I'm so proud of you, Tyler. Guess what happened next? Tyler won the first prize. I was bursting with pride. Then he immediately came to my house to give my mom the money.
Huh? Please take it. Thank you for helping my mom when she had a hard time. Please find it in your heart to forgive her. She's sick and could use a good friend. Oh, but the thing is...
So, turns out, Tyler's mom didn't borrow my college fund money. The two moms talked each other into stock investments. When they lost it, my mom didn't dare to tell my dad and me what she'd done, so she fabricated the whole lending money story. Ugh, Mom. Unacceptable. After that, the three of us went to visit Tyler's mom at the hospital and gave her the prize money to pay off her debts. She burst into tears. Then the two moms hugged and apologized for being so stupid that their kids had to deal with the consequences. Crazy, huh? But you know what? Thanks to all this drama, I found the one who was also the debtor of my life.